shit. Okay, now I'm on. Yay! Boy, I was talking and none of you motherfuckers are hearing me. Anyway, boy, I am having a lot of trouble. This is what happens when I try to throw a stream together in like 20 minutes. It does not go well for me at all. But let's see. Where is my... Wow, so many of my things have disappeared here. Why can I not turn the music off? Huh. That's why. Because I clicked onto something I've never clicked on before. Anyway. So yeah, now we're going to turn the music down now. We're done with the music. Jesus Christ, that was a problem and a half. Let me take my Batman glasses off now so you guys can see my secret identity. What's up, everybody? How's it going? No regular stream tonight. It's going to be just me jabbering about some things that are of interest to me. Obviously, I'm going to give you a little bit of my predictions for what's going to go down on Tuesday with the election. I'll give you my official predictions, how things are going to go, how things could go. I've been a little wrapped up in the Menendez brothers getting resentenced lately. I've been watching that. I'll give you some of my thoughts on that, read an article about that. Obviously, a baseball fan I am. I'm going to talk about the Yankee interference thing. I could give a rat's ass about the World Series as a whole. I'm glad it's over. That's the only thing that I can really say about it. But other than that, I just really want to talk about the fan interference thing because it annoys me. And whatever stuff that other things that might come up. But where to start? First thing I want to talk about is I went out trick-or-treating today. And look, I went out with my kids, hung out for a bit, with my daughter specifically, my nephew and my niece, and hung out a little bit. Sorry, I gotta type some stuff. And I found some things about Halloween that are kind of annoying me these days. And now, these are first world problems. Let's be honest here. These are first world problems, and some of you are going to think that I'm bitching about stupid shit, but I'm just going to be real here. These are things that are, I want to say they're ruining Halloween. That's a bit much. It's a bit of an I don't want to say oversimplification, but it's not really that. Now Halloween as a whole. Now, as a kid growing up, me on Halloween, it was, you start trick-or-treating at roughly 6 o'clock. And I remember, I grew up in California back in the 80s, a very different time. But where I grew up in California back in the 80s, it was you start trick-or-treating at roughly 6 o'clock, somewhere around there. And you kind of just went until the neighborhood you were in was done. None of this 6 to 8 stuff. None of this. I mean, there's other things since I've lived in Ohio for the last 1,000 years that has kind of bothered me about the way they do things here in the Midwest. But there are some things just kind of generally about Halloween today I noticed that have really annoyed the shit out of me. The first one is, kids, do not get lazy with your costumes. They're really this. We live in a day and age where you can have some of the most wild, crazy, cool, creative costumes ever. When I was growing up, we all had essentially the same costume. You went to the store, you got this plastic thing you put over you with like the mask that you put on, and you were Freddy Krueger, you were Optimus Prime. It was basically the same costume with different designs and colors on it. And that was okay for us, 400 years ago. But nowadays, it seems like every kid cosplays to a certain extent, especially around Halloween. But if you're going to dress up, I mean, at least try. I cannot stand it when kids will throw on like their Little League uniform from this past summer and be like, I'm a baseball player. That's lazy. I will give you candy, but I'll throw it at you and be like, get the hell off my lawn. I am that annoyed at the fact that some of these kids are just lazy. Now, look, we're a busier society now than we were when I was a kid. I mean, I get it. That's understandable. But I mean, it's not like you don't know when Halloween's going to be. It's not like you're like, oh, it's October 13th. I wonder, when Halloween's going to be this year. It's always the 31st. Most places, it's always the 31st. Most places do this like 6 to 8 or 6:30 to 8:30 thing. I've softened on that over the years because kids' safety has become more of a concern than I was a kid. When I was a kid, my parents would kick me out of the house for 12 hours and be like, come back at 6:30 and don't bother me the rest of the day. And I was okay because we weren't getting kidnapped every 5 minutes. But I mean, today it's like, come on, put some effort into it, kids. The other thing that really pisses me off, do not put the bowl of candy on the porch with a sign that says take one and then lock yourself in your house. Get out. Interact with the kids in the neighborhood. That's part of the problem with the world these days is we are actively looking for all the ways that we can be social and still avoid one another. Get out there, talk to these kids, tell them how cool their costumes are. I swear to God, these people that leave the bowl of candy out with a sign that say just take one or two or only take a handful, don't be greedy. I would 100% grab an entire fucking bowl of candy and pour it right in my bag because those people deserve it. For not wanting to be a part of what's happening, they absolutely fucking deserve it. I just don't understand why people would take such a social opportunity, a good opportunity, not even to really talk to a whole lot of people. Sit there, the kid says trick or treat. You say, oh, what a nice costume there, little princess. You pat her on the head. She walks away. She says, thank you. She walks away. That kind of goodwill is easy. Why so many people are dodging at this these days with such a lazy, half-assed fucking attempt to be a part of the social norm that is still Halloween? Like, get the fuck out of my face with that bullshit. Hand out candy. I decided that next year, I'm not going to go trick-or-treating with my kids. They can go off do their own thing. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to hand out candy for the first time in probably 10 years. I'm going full bore, full-size candy bars. I may even stream it now that I think about it. I may just set up a camera, like my laptop or my phone or something. I may stream it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And like all these kids that are coming around, what's up, AJ? Happy Halloween to you, my brother. I may go ahead and set up a camera and stream it so that people can see. Maybe set up a screen so people can see the YouTube broadcast. It's like the kids, so I can look to these kids and be like, look at this really cool costume right here. Because there were a couple of kids out there, and granted, a lot of kids, they throw their stuff together. They're still cool. But there were a couple of kids I saw that really put some effort in their costumes this year. And I was like, that right there is the shit. You deserve to be recognized for your good efforts to enjoy the spirit of the holiday. If you're not doing that, then what's the fucking point? I mean, just get out, talk with people, get to know the people in your neighborhood. I'm not asking you to like go into anybody's house and put your kids in danger and do any bullshit. Look at a kid, say, hey, good job on your costume, kid. I don't understand why people are so fucking lazy that they don't want to do that anymore. But the one thing I did see is there wasn't a lot of assholes tearing ass around the neighborhood, going too fast. I'm glad that that's kind of gone out with, over the years, because I do occasionally see like the teenage kid who just got his license like a couple of weeks ago. What's up, TSS? I do occasionally see the young kid who just got his license. He wants to act like a badass. I'm the one guy that will like stand in front of the car and like make him either slow down or hit me. Like I'm that guy. I had a couple of people look at me funny because I would like turn a certain way to like help my daughter or my nephew do something, and maybe my shirt pulled over my holster a little bit and showed that I was armed because I go everywhere armed. And some people kind of looked at me funny, but I was like, I haven't shot a kid by now. You're probably safe in this neighborhood with me tonight, so just go with it. And nobody said anything to me, which is, I'm happy. But yeah, I don't understand why people. I mean, Halloween and 4th of July are the two holidays that I still enjoy. Every other holiday can kind of piss off. I just don't care. Christmas, I can't stand. That's why once we get past Halloween, like starting tomorrow, I'm going to switch off mentally as much as I can over the course of the next 2 months. I mean, obviously, I'll be reading a lot of stuff this weekend and getting ready for the election stream on Tuesday. But I am not at all going to be putting a lot of effort, a lot of great thought into anything for the next 2 months. I just want to get through the holidays. I've never liked the holidays. Even when I was a kid, I just wanted them to come and go. I was not really impressed with Christmas. The getting stuff was never really my thing. But yeah, just this is one of the only decent holidays that everybody seems to still enjoy for a lot of reasons. Don't half-ass it. I mean, make it great. Make it awesome. That's the only thing I ask for you folks to do out there. Because look, it's not just for it's not for the community. For you. For you. Be cool for you. Enjoy being you. Enjoy being a person for a couple hours while you're, turning all the kids in your neighborhood into diabetic messes. Anyway, I forgot what I wanted to talk about first. Other than that, oh yeah, the Yankee fan thing. Oh, good God. It's just, I don't know why. Let me. It's so annoying. Let me read this to you. This is from where's this from? I got this from I forget what publication this is, but Game 4 of the World Series is off to a rather bizarre start. This is from a couple of days ago. Not the top of the first inning between the Dodgers and the Yankees. That began basically the same way as Game 3 did, which the Dodgers just beat the shit out of the Yankees this entire series. But in the bottom of the first, however, is where things went off the rails. Yankees leadoff hitter Gleyber Torres lofted a fly ball down the right field line that Los Angeles right fielder Mookie Betts was tracking towards the stands. Betts leaped into the front row of the bleachers to make a play on the fly ball, only to have a pair of Yankee fans rip the ball out of the outfielder's glove. Torres was ruled out for fan interference, the right call by the umpires. I want to point that out. While those fans may have earned an A for effort, which I wouldn't even give them that much, to be honest, as noted on the Fox Sports broadcast, odds are they will be watching the rest of Game 4 as well as any potential Game 5 from outside of Yankee Stadium. Absolutely, they should be. Look, seriously, baseball is my main sport. You guys have heard me talk about it. It's been my favorite sport since I was probably, 10, 11 years old. It was a sport that I played forever. Not that I don't like other sports, not that I didn't play other sports. Baseball was the sport that I was passionate about. Look, one of the things I've always liked about baseball is that you are almost right on top of the game. More than any other sport except for maybe basketball, which you really are sitting, if you're courtside, you're 5 feet away from the playing surface. But more than any other game, you really are kind of, if you're lucky enough to get seats close to the field, you really are looking at sitting a matter of 15 feet away from where the game is happening. These guys right here, I mean, those are pretty good seats, right along the foul line. You're right along the wall. These guys were literally 10 to 15 feet. I've never actually been in this Yankee Stadium, but 10 to 15 feet away from the game. Why would you do this? Look, I get it. For one, New Yorkers have had this history of being a bit arrogant about the way they are. It's just, we're New Yorkers, we're tough, we're a different breed. For the most part, I get it, I understand, and I think it's true, but that does not give you the permission to do something so fucktarded as this. This to me is worse than Bartman. Like, these guys need to get the ridicule that Bartman got for what was a way more innocent play, albeit in a very important postseason game, but a way more innocent play than what these guys did. Bartman just happened to reach for a ball that was clearly foul. For those of you who remember the Steve Bartman thing back in 98, something like that. Cubs, Marlins, NLCS Game 5, I think, of the playoffs, as I recall. Moises Alou goes over to on left field, actually, at Wrigley Field. A play very similar to this, reaches just over the fence to try to catch this fly ball. Bartman reaches up to catch it, not really looking at the fielder. He reaches up to try to catch it. There is a little bit of interference there. It was a very innocent play, but look at the ridicule that Bartman's gotten over the years. This guy has had to change his name, move several states away, no longer loves the game of baseball, cannot really, I mean, his life was essentially ruined for a very innocent play. These guys, let me see if I can pull up the play from the where's it at? I'm gonna pull this up real quick. Is that on the screen now? There it is. So we can play the actual. Let me go back to the page now, so we can give the actual play. I don't want to get in trouble for any bullshit, but I mean, you see it right there. Now look what these guys do. You'll see it on the replay. These guys don't just reach over and make contact. You can see in the picture that I had up, these assholes were 100% trying to reach. They held on to Mookie Betts' glove and were trying to rip it off his hand or rip the ball out. Look at this replay right here. Interference. Mookie makes the catch. Good on Mookie for watching it. Now right here, he's grabbing his glove, opening it. This guy grabs Mookie's throwing hand, and the other guy rips it out. What the fuck is that bullshit? I don't understand that at all. Like, that is some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen a fan do. Let me see if I can back this up a little bit more, so I can pause it on the like this right here. Then that's pretty much the scene that I showed you guys. And I showed you guys in the picture. But dude, this is completely unacceptable. I mean, for one, these guys were like, "Well, we're going to be back in our seats tomorrow." No, you're not. The Yankees very, very rightly released a statement saying if they were not going to be allowed in for Game 5, good. I got to be honest, these guys are season ticket holders. They should 100% have their PSLs revoked, their personal seat licenses. They should 100% be revoked. These guys, honestly, if I were baseball, I would just say for a year, you're not allowed in any ballpark in the nation. It's just, that's not good behavior. That's just stupid. It's just dumb. TSS says MLB wanted this World Series and it ended like last year's World Series Game 5. But I don't look. I'm not like J-Man. I don't necessarily think that World Series, Super Bowls, and stuff are rigged. I think baseball wanted Yankees, Dodgers because they're big names. But the problem with that is nobody outside of LA or New York is going to watch. I didn't watch. I watched Freeman's grand slam at the end of the game in Game 1. Because I just happened to be awake. I figured the game was still on, so I watched. That was a cool moment. I did not watch a single inning. I have not watched a highlight of any other game except this one right here. I just didn't care. And it's not just because I'm a Giants fan and I hate the Dodgers. I mean, that's probably part of it. But yeah, I don't understand why baseball doesn't want parity when parity is going to help the most. I mean, baseball is a game with the best parity of all the sports. I don't know why you wouldn't want that to be what drives your sport. I mean, football, let's face it, Kansas City is the new New England. And for 20 years before that, you had New England. And even for decades before that, you had the Niners one decade, the Steelers one decade, the Cowboys running one decade. That's kind of how it always was. See, AJ says, I'm happy the Dodgers won their 8th World Series championship. I'm not. I'm a Giants fan. I don't want the Dodgers to win anything. I said it a year or so ago. I was like, leave it up to the Dodgers to win the one World Series that nobody was trying to win in 2020. They only played 60 games. Half the league opted out. If I were a ball player, I would have played 60 games anyway. That's just not enough baseball to really hash out the good guys, the good teams and the bad teams. But whatever. Dodgers won that one that nobody was playing. Congratulations. That's why there was no big fanfare. This one, okay, great. You basically did what the Yankees have done for years. You bought Shohei. You're buying a bunch, you paid a bunch of these guys. You're paying, I don't even know what the Dodgers payroll is every year now. I think it's somewhere in the $350 or $375 million range. Congratulations. You bought a championship in a league that allows you to buy championships. Whatever. I mean, the mid-market teams are playing for a playoff spot and the Dodgers are going to win a bunch of World Series. The Yankees are going to buy in a couple more. And that's pretty much going to be it. I think baseball is much better when the smaller market teams are winning. When the Dodgers win, nobody outside of Southern California cares. Same thing with the Yankees. Nobody outside of Manhattan cares. Half of New York doesn't even care because half of them are fucking Mets fans. So it's like, but whatever. But I mean, just to kind of get back to this whole interference thing. Let's see. AJ Raider says Yankee fans are the worst. Well, I mean, look, every fan base has its group of assholes. I mean, I went to watch the Niners play in Cleveland last year. Cleveland won the game. It was kind of a sloppily officiated game. Neither team played particularly well. It just so happened that the Browns won a game where neither team was really at their best. And as we were walking out, there were people trying to like pick fights with me and my son because I had my oldest son Keegan with me. And we're walking out, and people are trying to pick at us and pick a fight and say things that are going to get us mad. And I'm just kind of looking at them like, guys, we're here watching a game. I mean, I understand that you guys haven't won a championship since before the Super Bowl was called the Super Bowl. But there's no reason to come in here and act like an asshole. I kept my cool about the whole thing. The game was over and I left. Yeah, I was bummed the Niners lost. But on the way out, there was this one guy who was trying to pick a fight with my son. My son he's my size. He's probably a shade taller than me. He's every bit as beefy as I am. And he's 20 years old. He'll be 21 this spring. At the time he was 19. He's 19, 20 years old, and he's got that hot temper that a lot of 19 and 20-year-olds have. So he was getting ready to chest up to this guy. I did what I did. I jumped in between him. I just looked the guy up and down, didn't say anything, and he walked away. And I was like, yeah, because I would have thrown you off this fucking second deck down to the field. But I just kind of looked at my son. I was like, let these guys talk. The bottom line is we're going to be playing football late in January. They're going to be watching football late in January. So, I mean, this is the Super Bowl to them. This is the biggest game they've won in 20 years. At least since the Browns came back after, the original Browns left to go to Baltimore. So, yes, every fan base has a dark shade to it. I talk about it all the time when we're talking about the movies. Fan base, fandom, there are negative people out there that just want to be dickheads and act like assholes. And they want to say stupid shit. They want to talk about how, this person's, race, whatever, this person's fat, whatever. It's just, I mean, every fan base has them. You just got to try to not be the asshole in the fan base. See, AJ Raider taking some shots. That's okay. Hey, as a Bay Area fan, I still want the Raiders to be successful. I think some of the best years to watch football when I was a kid growing up was when the Niners and the Raiders were both doing well, and there was that chance that there was going to be that cross bay thing or that special rivalry thing that was going to one day manifest itself in the Super Bowl. It hasn't happened yet. I'm hoping one day it will. But yeah, as a Bay Area native, I still do kind of root for the Raiders a little bit. I'm hoping that they come out of whatever funk they're in. I said it for years that Al Davis is the one thing that was holding that team back. Now that Al has passed on, now his son's out there, and I don't know that he's doing a whole lot better. He doesn't seem to be having a lot of great success putting a team together. But whatever. I mean, it's Brady's there now. Maybe Brady will bring some kind of different point of view. I don't know. Let's see. Broody Gator, what's up, brother? Happy Halloween, my man. Hope you had a good Halloween. Hope everything's going well. Go check out his link in the description below. I know I've got the Broody Gamer channel link in there. I don't know if I have the Ghost Host stuff in there. I'll have to look at that, but I've been needing to update my description stuff anyway. But yeah, AJ remembers that. Yeah, it's honestly, I remember some magical times in the Bay Area. This is one of the reasons why I'm kind of bummed. Sidebar. One of the reasons I'm kind of bummed about the A's leaving, because when both Bay Area teams in a sport are doing well, that place was like heaven. I mean, the '89 series before the earthquake, which kind of screwed everything up. But I mean, the '89 series, I mean, that's the highest level of excitement I've seen in the Bay Area like ever. And this is even including all the great years the Niners were winning a lot of Super Bowls in the '80s and into the '90s and were successful. The Warriors at that time hadn't had a lot of success for like ever. I mean, they've had recent success, but back then they were perennially, they would be like, they may sneak into a playoff spot and get bumped, and that was it. But yeah, I mean, whenever you had both the Niners and the Raiders doing well and the A's and the Giants doing well, it made watching those sports that much funner because the playful rivalries between fans were always good. But, these teams, Oakland's a bad market. I mean, seriously, it just is anymore. If you guys ever watch Brody Bazill's channel on YouTube, he talks about it a lot. I mean, he was doing a lot of A's related content as the regular season was winding down about the A's, remembering the A's leaving, talking about the A's leaving, remembering, great times along their history, which there were many. Been to several games at the Coliseum in Oakland. My very first baseball game I ever went to actually was A's Blue Jays at the Coliseum in Oakland in '87, something like that. I was probably about 10, 11 years old, so it's probably '87. So, for being one of the old '60s cookie cutter stadiums, the place was still it was still a great place to go watch a game. Problem is, the A's don't draw in Oakland. Oakland's a bad market for a team. I know a lot of Bay Area fans that I know get pissed off when I say it, but let's be honest. Even when the Oakland teams are doing good and the San Francisco teams are doing bad, San Francisco's the draw. San Francisco's always been a bigger draw than Oakland because Oakland is mostly industry and city. There's not really anything touristy to do in Oakland. I mean, because it's funny because like you can stand like right there like Treasure Island where the Bay Bridge goes across from San Francisco to Oakland, and you can look across there and you can see like the docks. But other than that, it just looks like an industrial city. Whereas San Francisco's got Pier 39, Alcatraz, the Golden Gate, Fort Point. All these different places you can go to, the Castro, Fisherman's Wharf. They've got all these places that tourists want to go to hang out and to be, but Oakland's got nothing. So it's easier to sign a big deal to get a stadium in San Francisco. Hell, the Warriors left Oakland to jump across the bay to a stadium they built in San Francisco on the peninsula. So, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. And I mean, nobody complained about the Warriors leaving Oakland because they were just going to be across the bay. They're not technically the Oakland Warriors or the Golden State Warriors. They kind of ripped California the way that the Anaheim Angels ripped California, or the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, or whatever the hell they call themselves now. But so nobody really batted an eye at that. But it's like, I mean, Oakland's just not a good market for a sports team anymore. It's just not. But back to this Yankee fans thing. It's like it's disappointing, and I honestly think that now we really need to let Steve Bartlett off the hook. Somebody needs to call that guy and be like, dude, come out out of the shadows now. We are okay with you. We accept you. A lot of people already have. I think it's kind of odd that he hasn't kind of come back out. And look, I don't think he needs to do any interviews trying to explain himself, but I would like to see him come back out and say, hey, I'm past it now. I'm glad you guys are past it now. I really just want to enjoy the game again. I really just want to be a fan again. And I personally would welcome him with open arms, especially after seeing this kind of bullshit. Because, I mean, honestly, this bullshit right here, the way they did it, like I said, the way that one of them grabs Mookie Betts holds his hand there while the other guy is trying to open his glove and rip the ball out. Did they think the umpire wasn't going to see that? Like the umpire was going to look at it and be like, oh, he dropped it, foul ball, and we're going to give the Yankees their chance. What were those guys thinking? That's one thing. For two, you've got to be a fucking moron. I mean, you have got to be drinking water that comes right out of the fucking Hudson River and it fucking screws up your brain to pay what I'm sure was $3,000 a seat for those seats and to do something incredibly stupid that's going to get you thrown out in the first inning of a World Series game. What the fuck is wrong with you? That is just so dumb. I'm going to go to my app real quick because I have this Game Time app on my phone that I use to look at like concert ticket prices and different prices. I had looked at, it may not have it on here anymore. Yeah, it doesn't have it on here anymore. But I was looking for, it doesn't. But I was looking for World Series tickets just to see how much they cost. And I know at LA, they were some ridiculous, I think they were something like $2 or $3 grand a piece in LA. And I know in New York, like really good ones, like the ones that I try to get behind the dugout, they were something like $3 to $4 grand a piece. So these ignorant motherfuckers, they spent that much money on World Series tickets and got themselves thrown out in the first inning. Now, and what's crazy is even if they are season ticket holders, they probably paid something like $5 or $6 grand for the PSL, for the personal seat license. To say nothing of the surcharge they had to pay to get World Series tickets, because you can have season tickets to a professional sports team, but if they make the playoffs and the Super Bowl, if you want to get tickets to that, you still have to pay a premium for the tickets. So you're not just getting those tickets for free because you're a season ticket holder. You're paying a lot of money for those seats. And to go and pull some bullshit like this, I'm sorry, man. I don't get it. These guys need to be banned from every Major League Baseball stadium for at least the next season. The Yankees need to pull their personal seat license and give those to somebody who's not going to act like a prick. But, go down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Should these guys be banned from all baseball stadiums for the next year? Should they be forgiven? I'm not inclined to forgive them. I don't think that makes any sense. But go down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. But let's see. I've talked about those idiots now. Let's talk about the Menendez brothers. Oh boy. I generally don't talk about things like this, but this is interesting to me because I remember this thing happening back in the what was it? It was the late 90s. I want to say it was after OJ. Because I think one of the reasons they wanted to even get this conviction of these guys in this big like newsworthy case was because they wanted to make up for not being able to convict OJ. But this, according to CBS Los Angeles, Lyle and Eric Menendez, who have spent more than 30 years behind bars for the 1989 murder of their parents, have received support from Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon, who himself is a prick, in their bid for clemency. On Monday, attorneys for the brothers submitted a request for clemency to California Governor Gavin Newsom. If it were approved by Newsom, it would result in their immediate release. Gascon has sent letters of support to the governor after announcing last week that he is recommending their resentencing. I strongly support clemency for Eric and Lyle Menendez, which is not resentencing. I don't know why he used that word, who are currently serving sentences of life without possibility of parole. They have respectively served 34 years and have continued their educations and worked to create new programs to support the rehabilitation of fellow inmates. This is something Gascon said in a statement on Wednesday. In a statement provided to CBS News Wednesday afternoon, a spokesperson for Newsom's office said that, quote, pending clemency applications are confidential and we are not able to discuss the individual cases, meaning that Gavin Newsom is trying to find some way to milk this for all the political capital that he possibly can. The two brothers were convicted of fatally shooting their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, as the couple sat on a couch inside their Beverly Hills home on the evening of August 20th, 1989. Prosecutors argued greed was the motivation behind the killings, while Lyle and Eric said they killed them in self-defense, saying they feared for their lives and had endured years of sexual abuse throughout their childhoods. I mean, do you believe it? Look, I don't. As far as I've read, and I have not heard, except for the last week or so, I have not read about this case since probably it all went down in the early 90s or whenever it was. But yeah, I mean, the story goes is the dad was abusing one or both of these boys. That's probably true by all witness statements and things that people, other testimony that people have given. That's probably true. As a matter of fact, his dad was a big time music producer, and I think that one of the guys from Menudo, the Spanish group that was really big, like in the 80s and early 90s on TV, they had said that one of the members of that group, because I guess he had produced that group or made them big or whatever, had said that he even accosted him that way several times. Oh, Casey's here. He needs his clout. Everybody go check out Casey's channel. Yeah, he said, oh, thank God Casey didn't call you daddy. Well, you know, whatever. You may. Jesus Christ. Nothing DC, what's going on, man? Good to see you here. Hope you decide to subscribe and like and do all that good stuff to send us around. No, again, since you're new, I'll remind you, normally we do a lot of movie reviews, but I will be doing an election stream talking about random stuff with some friends and anybody else that wants to stop in and bullshit. So that's going to be a long stream on Tuesday while we wait to see if the country implodes from whoever wins. But, you know, what's up, Northam? Yeah, it's okay, that makes sense. Okay. See, you guys change names on me, and it screws me up. But let's see. Yeah, this. I mean, I haven't really looked into this case much. I've been watching, Andy Signor over at Popcorn Planet talk about it lately. Now, like I said, essentially these guys were both accosted by their dad in that terrible way that shouldn't be happening, and they did it out of fear for their lives. They were tired of being abused, so on and so on. And I get those reasons. There are some things about this whole case that kind of tweaks me a little bit, though. The murders happened. Okay. Even the way the murders happened, that article doesn't quite say it right. It wasn't like mom and dad were sitting on the couch. They went up there and killed them both instantly. I guess the dad was laying on the couch asleep, and one of them walked in with a shotgun, boom, on the dad. The mother walked in the room not understanding the sound that she had heard as a gunshot, and she was then shot by one of the brothers, who then reloaded, shooting her again. Now, the reloading is one of the places where you trip up a little bit, because if I pull my gun on somebody in self-defense, I pull the trigger one or two times to neutralize the threat. That's one thing. If I mag dump, depending on the situation, that might be a little much. But once I drop my mag, jam another one, and start shooting again, that's where things get into a tricky legal area, because if the problem is neutralized, you reload and start laying more lead down range, that kind of gets into something else. There was a case that came up a while back. I think we may even have talked about it on one of the last episodes of Derailed, where a guy was sitting in like a restaurant. Another guy came in to rob the place, and the guy and one of the customers that was there was armed, drew on him, shot the guy, and then after the guy went down and was no longer a threat, whatever that was in the moment, because it can be different from one situation to the next, he went up there and shot the guy, I think, 2 more times, killing him. And then once you've neutralized the threat, that's when you're supposed to stop with the aggressive lethal force. Going back and just shooting the guy in the back of the head after he's already down, that's where you can get into some pretty tough legal areas where you're like, hey, if he was already neutralized, you don't have to shoot him anymore. That's one of the reasons why I teach my sons, if you ever get into a gunfight, don't go for headshots. Because if you go for a headshot, your intent obviously is to kill, and that most of the time will eliminate the self-defense argument. Let's see. Nothing says he thought they shot him 13 times. I don't remember exactly how many times. I know that the dad was shot while he was asleep on the couch. At least that's what I heard recently. The mother was in another room, reacted to the sounds, was shot. I forget by who or how many times. Then after they had expended all the shells that were in the shotgun, which, I mean, shotgun holds 8. Maybe if you've got a long mag tube, you're looking at like 8 shells in a shotgun. Reloaded at least one more shell. Reloaded is the important part here. Shot the mother again, finishing her off, and that's how she died. So yeah, it's the reloading. The second thing after that is they call the police. They say, I just walked in and found my mom and dad murdered, so on, so on, so on. The 911 call, I remember hearing it a long time ago. I'm sure you could find it somewhere on the internet if you did some digging. But they police show up, investigation happens, so on, so on. And these guys very oddly go on a spending spree. This is the part where it starts to look a little shady to me. Because mom and dad were just killed, and you went and bought yourself watches, new cars. One of the sons was actually a tennis prodigy, as I recall. I don't remember which one. I think it's the guy on the left. I think he was the tennis prodigy. One of them was. I don't remember exactly which one. But when they arrested him, he had flown back from Europe where he was playing tennis in some kind of a tournament, not professional, not with Agassi and all those guys, all the big players at the time, but he was playing a tournament in Europe, and he had to come back because he heard that he was going to be arrested. So he jumped on a plane, came back to make arrangements, whatever. They arrested him when he got off the plane. So and then obviously the trial goes the way it goes. They were actually given a mistrial the first time. In the second trial, or mistrial, or maybe on a mistrial, I don't know legally. I don't know how it's worded, but like that trial did not work out the first time. They refiled the charges, and then the second trial, they apparently they didn't allow some testimony and some evidence that was allowed in the first trial, and by not allowing that, it made them look incredibly guilty. The jury was like guilty, like in a rather short little trial, much shorter than the first one, and that's where they ended up getting sentenced to life without possibility of parole. But here's the brothers today as they look, obviously much older. The one guy on the right who's bald, apparently he was bald and his dad was, or balding when he was young, and his dad made him wear a hairpiece. That's the guy on the left. It's an obvious toupee. I remember even thinking that when I was a teenager and watching all this stuff go down. I was just like, that guy's wearing a piece. But yeah, here's the brothers today as they look. Actually, I think these pictures are even still a couple years old. But here's the big question now is, have they served their time? Because one of the things that I ask if you ask me if a person deserves parole or early release or whatever, is I say, what kind of prisoners have they been? Have they been model prisoners? Have they been guys that have been involved in smuggling inside prison? Have they been shanking their cellmates to get the favor of other people? If they've been doing stuff like that, then no, you gotta stay in jail. That's the way that goes. But it occurred to me as this story started to break about them being resentenced or getting clemency or whatever, that I haven't heard these guys' names once since this case wrapped itself up. So these guys probably haven't been engaging in anything too terrible. They're probably just, living whatever life they can live behind bars. They've probably become institutionalized to a point, which is kind of scary because they went from living high off the hog in a mansion in Beverly Hills somewhere to prison. Which, they probably weren't in, the worst prison in the world. They weren't in Attica. They weren't in some place like that, Alcatraz, something like that, Sing Sing. They weren't in one of these prisons that are known for being hard. But still, prison's prison. It's not like living in a mansion on Rodeo Drive. So it would have to have been a struggle for these guys. So, but they didn't get into any of that stuff. I haven't heard their names mentioned at all. Nothing about, riots, nothing about shanking other inmates. These guys have just been doing their thing and laying low. So part of me thinks, you know what? I don't think that the question now is whether they did the crime. I think they flat out admitted to it at one point. Even though they played it off like they didn't initially, they finally admitted to it. But the question is, it's like, if these guys aren't like hardcore people who just want to kill everybody, they really did just react to this situation with their parents, and they don't really want to hurt anybody, I would say, you know what? Resentence them. Because how this would probably work is I don't have the legal paperwork here, so I don't want to quote the legal paperwork. It's out there, you can find it. It's all been released. I think Andy Signore had a link to it on Popcorn Planet on one of his videos. But the way that I've understood it, there's a couple different ways this could happen. One is they can get clemency from the governor, which I don't think is going to happen. That's a little too far for Gavin Newsom. I don't even know if he'd be able to. I don't even know if he knows how to sign his name to sign a paper like that anyway. The guy's a moron. But or they could be resentenced. Now, this is that's probably going to end up happening: is they're going to get resentenced. What they're going to do is they're going to go before a judge, and the judge is going to say, "Here's the facts of the case. You guys have admitted to everything. You guys have been model prisoners. You've served this, 35 years or whatever up to this point. I'm going to resentence you to time served, and thank you for your time. You're released," and they can be released within 24 hours. Or they could say, "I'm going to sentence you to 35 years and 6 months, and you guys are getting out in 6 months." Or he could say 40 years, and you guys are going to stay behind bars 40 more years and not parole, which would still be better than life, because these guys would still be getting out when they're somewhere in their 50s. But I think late 50s, early 60s is when they get out. But if they got out right now, these guys are only in their, I think, mid 50s. They're not crazy old, so they still have a chance at life. And let's be honest, the world today, the entertainment world today, as it exists, does not exist the way it did when these guys went in. They are going to end up on Dancing with the Stars. They're going to end up with a reality show. They're going to end up getting interviewed at the Wazoo. You know, one or both of these guys is most certainly going to end up on Rogan. That's one of these. Probably both of these guys are going to end up on Rogan. He had Amanda Knox on, and I'm not going to lie, that was actually a really good podcast. Listening to her talk about her experience is actually kind of enthralling. But I mean, yeah, so these guys are going to get attention. They're going to be able to make money off the fame that they've accrued from this thing. Whether it's right or not, you can make the argument. Because again, they did admit to doing it, but if you examine everything, they were the victims themselves of this terrible behavior on the part of their father, and including really their mother, who either A, was involved in some abuse herself, which I've heard that, and some people have said it, but we don't really know if that's been proven. I don't think it's ever been proven legally. Or at bare minimum, she allowed it to happen. She knew it was going on. She made arrangements to where things wouldn't be found out, where her husband was not in certain places at certain times to try to cover for her boys, but there wasn't always a lot she could do. So she knew it was happening. So did she deserve her fate? I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's a simple question to answer. I mean, did she deserve to be punished for her role? Most certainly. Death? I mean, that's for us to decide individually, I guess. You gotta talk about it in your own heart, what you think is acceptable punishment for people like that. Personally, I understand what they did. I get it. But I also understand that the way things go today, especially with the way things are today with the legal system in so many states, how so many states just have people like saying, oh, you stole $900? Okay, it's a $50 fine, go away. People are doing almost no time for any crimes these days. So if that were to happen today, they probably would get a relatively short sentence, especially in California, where they don't seem to want to put anybody in jail anymore. So if that would happen today, they'd be like, oh, okay, you're going to serve, 18 months in a federal country club, and then you're going to go home. We're going to go ahead and let you live in the house where you killed your parents. We're going to let you have all their money. It's going to come to you anyway. You're the heirs to their fortune, so whatever. That's exactly how it would go. So, I mean, I don't know. It really is kind of a questionable situation for me. I know what I think, but the way I think may not be the way you guys think. It may not be the way the person down here thinks. It's entirely up to you to make up your minds about this. But when this thing does drop, I'll probably make a video on it and talk about it a little bit more. I want to start doing a few more news videos like this every now and again moving forward. So, maybe that will be a thing. And you bring up, Derek brings up another interesting point. Problem with these Netflix documentaries is they go into it with a specific narrative and don't show a lot of the evidence that doesn't support the narrative. Very true. As a matter of fact, when Gascon even made did his press conference, what was it, about a week ago or so, where he said that he wanted, or actually probably more than that, maybe 2 weeks ago, where he said he wanted to pursue resentencing or clemency for these guys. He even pointed out that Netflix documentary. I have not seen the Netflix documentary. I may sit and watch it at some point if I have nothing better to watch. I've heard it was pretty terrible. I mean, just the banner ads were bad. I mean, they had, it's like, they've got the two brothers there with no shirts on. One of them's got his hand over the other one's shoulder in a very seductive kind of pose. And I've heard that even the show itself alludes to some incestuous relationship between the two of them. And the family has been like, no, that's 100% bullshit. I've heard that the Menendez brothers themselves have never seen it, which doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't bother watching it if I were them, because I guarantee it's 100% bullshit. It's the same thing with that To Catch a Killer thing that they had on. I thought about watching that a while back, but the more and more I heard people talk about it, like one of the cops that was involved in it even came out and said, look, they left a lot of shit out of that documentary. There was a lot of things that are true that were not put in there. There were a lot of things in there that were kind of embellished and stretched. It did not. He was just like, this did not portray what it was actually like. And that thing actually is really close to getting that guy out of prison. And even the cops were like, wait a minute, bro, wait a minute. And some of the blowback on that one has been so heavy that even the process of letting that guy out of jail has been slowed down, because they're like, well, if that's not exactly accurate the way you guys put it, then we need to go look at some more stuff. And there's more stuff that's coming to light. They've been like, oh, well, but there was this piece of evidence that said he was guilty, and this piece of evidence said he was guilty, blah, blah, blah. So odds are that guy may get a new trial, but he may not get out. Let's see. They did a documentary called Who Killed Jason Garrett that took place where I live, and they made everyone here out to be racist, then left out major evidence. Well, that's what they do. I mean, It was absolutely absurd to watch. Well, that's what they do. Here's with documentaries, you have to kind of walk the fine line between entertaining and informing. If you can walk that line, that's great. But the main thing you have to do, if you're going to lean to one side of that line or the other, you've got to lean towards the informing, because if you're not honest, then whatever you're trying to do with the documentary is fucked. It's bullshit. You're never going to be able to put it across the right way. So documentaries that are honest about things are usually the best ones. Like I watched that Quiet on the Set documentary about the kids and Nickelodeon and all that. That was terrifying. I mean, because my youngest son, I mean, he's glasses, freckles, big smile, cute as a button. I've thought many times over the years about saying, well, maybe I should go ahead and take him to some kind of a talent agent and be like, hey, maybe he gets a commercial, make some money that I can put aside for him, and when he gets to be 18 or 21 or whatever, he's got some money to start his life with. Or maybe he can become an actor and do all the cool stuff in Hollywood that I never had a chance to do. But then I watched that documentary and I'm like, nope, I'd rather my kid be an auto mechanic. I'd rather my kid do, computer graphics for some company and just make his regular paycheck and be a regular person. I don't want my kid anywhere near that shit. We've talked about it on the channel a couple times before about some of these stories that come up, the Me Too stuff and things like that. Hollywood's a terrible place. It's an awful, terrible place. It has been since its inception. And if you think about the people that have been in Hollywood for a long time and aren't an absolute train wreck, they aren't just completely fucked in the head, those are the people that don't exist in the Hollywood bubble. It's like Sandra Bullock. You never hear her name unless she's making an awesome movie. Doesn't live in Hollywood. She lives in Texas. Jeremy Renner. You don't hear his name unless, the bad thing with the snow plow. He got injured very badly. You heard his name then, but it's like you never hear about him doing stupid shit in LA. He lives like in the Sierras, like in the Nevada, California border. He lives, 8 hours away from Hollywood. He's outside of that bubble. He's a regular guy who just does regular guy shit. He goes into Hollywood. He goes to the office and then he goes home. That's the thing. He goes to the office and he goes home. It's those are the people that make better product and they are not fucked in the head. But these people that just exist in the Hollywood bubble, that's what they do. The guy they portrayed as innocent was guilty as fuck. Well, a lot of them are. Like I said, it's a real fine line you got to walk. But you're right. What you said earlier, Derek, is they don't want to put out the truth. They want to put out a narrative. It's like, we want this guy to be innocent, so we're going to paint him out like he was the victim here. And that's not really ever the case. Look, this isn't 1964 anymore. It's not like the only evidence you get are fingerprints and witness statements. We got DNA. We got cameras on every street corner that can catch most of these people doing shit as they're doing it. It's like there's so many places to gather evidence for crimes now. You can't just scream, I'm innocent, and some judge be like, okay, well, there's not a lot of evidence, so you're right. Well, no, there's evidence everywhere now. Absolutely everywhere. But go down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Should the Menendez brothers get out? Should they stay in prison? Do you think they've been in prison long enough? Go down in the comments below and let me know. Now, I got to pull up 270 to win. I need to share this one because I'm going to go over some of my predictions now. Some things that could happen. Let me close out some of these. New computer is making things happen a lot better. So thank you guys that have supported me over the years. I've been putting little bits of money aside here and there for a new computer, and I finally made that happen, and I am very, very happy. So, let me open this screen up. Window 270 to win. This is the one that I want right here. Let's break this down, guys. So this is kind of the way it looks when it comes to polling. You guys can see this is 270towin.com. It's an interactive map. You can go change all the stuff that you want. You can click on this thing right here, turn to this person, whatever. So go have fun with this. They even have a thing on here where they try to simulate it, but the simulations I think are just random. Because there was one simulation I ran and it had Trump winning both New York and California, and I was like, yeah, that's fucking retarded. That's not going to be true at all. But just looking at this map the way it is right now, I think most people agree that this is how these states are going to fall. Like California over here, New York over here, we know those are going to go Democrat. Texas, we know is going to go Democrat. I don't know why they have that in the likely. I'm pretty sure that's solid. I'm pretty sure Florida's solid Trump. I don't think those are going anywhere. So the way these states look right now, I'm thinking that these states are where they're going to be. Now, I don't know if the polls are down here or not. No, they're not on this page. But if we go by the polling, let me try to pull up a different. Let's see. Let me go to 270 to wins polling. We go to 270 to wins polling. Let's see. President polling averages by state. I don't think you guys are seeing that. No, you're still seeing that. Okay. So polling averages by state. So as we go by state, we'll start with Nevada, since we'll go left to right. We'll start with Nevada. Where is Nevada? Nevada's right here. Right now, Nevada is 0.4 Trump. 0.4% Trump is leading in Nevada. That was as of the 29th, 2 days ago. And I'm pretty sure we're done polling. There might be some polls that come out over the course of the next couple of days, but I'm pretty sure we're done polling. So if we're looking at that 0.4 Trump in Nevada, we're going to say that leans Trump. There's something to remember as I'm putting these out there. There's something called polling bias. I don't know if you guys are aware of what that is or not. It's called polling bias. Basically, what that means is, I'll go back to 2016 for an example. You poll Illinois. Illinois polls at Clinton was running in 2016. So Clinton is polling up by 9 points in Illinois. I don't know if these numbers are accurate for 2016 or not. I'm just using numbers. So let's say Hillary Clinton's polling is up by 9 points. The election happens. She wins by 4 points. Yes, she still won the state, but the polling discrepancy between that 9 and that 5, that's a 4-point poll deficit. Democrats almost always poll higher than they actually do, than they actually win, than they actually get. So, and there is a poll bias largely in favor of Democrats. And I think in Nevada, I think they're saying, like, historically, Democrats enjoy a 3 to 5 point poll bias depending on state. So if we're looking at the low end of that and we're looking at 3, then I would say that that Nevada leans Trump if he's up by 0.4. That's looking like, if the polling bias is right, then it's really Trump by 3, roughly. That's kind of what that is. That's why I give that one to Nevada. Going back to the poll, scroll back up, look at Arizona. Arizona right now is Trump is up by 1.8. That's pretty significant, especially when you consider polling bias. Now, there's a couple of things to remember. One is that Arizona is where we had some problems the last election. Yeah, let's be honest. As a matter of fact, I think Always Nerdy, I don't remember what the last time he said this, but I think Always Nerdy had said that in Arizona you vote and you can go online to see if your vote had been counted. And last time I heard him say something about it, this is a while back. Last time I heard him say something about it, I think it was over on Cronin's show, that he had said that he had looked and looked and looked and it never registered that his vote was counted and he had voted for Trump. So maybe it's a computer error. Maybe they did count his vote and it didn't get put in somewhere. The data didn't get entered. Possibly. That could be happening. It's possible that he's lying. Possible. I don't know if that's true or not. But it's possible that everything he said is true. All 3 of those things are equally possible. And if it is true that they are not counting his vote, then that's a problem, because Arizona is one of the states that Trump lost very narrowly in the last election. But right now, Trump's got a pretty comfortable lead. So I will put that leans Trump. That puts us at I don't know why it says Democrats and Republicans. We all know who's running. Let's switch that so we know what we're looking at here. Now we'll go to Wisconsin. Now we're getting into the areas where I think that Harris is probably going to pick. He's going to win at least one of these states, I think. Let's see. Wisconsin. Right now, Harris is up 0.6. That is not a whole lot. That's a dangerous. I'm going to click to add here. We're going to say it tilts Harris. That it is barely in the Harris camp, because 0.6 is, like I said, with the poll bias that Democrats usually get, this could very easily be 3 points in the other direction, which means that that's going to go to Trump. But I'm going to give Harris this one because I really do feel like between Wisconsin and Michigan, she's probably going to split those 2 states. I don't see Trump winning both of them. I think she probably splits them. Now let's go to let's look at Michigan for a second. Do I have recent polling from Michigan? Let's see. Michigan. Right now, as of today, actually, was the last time they ran the polls. Harris is up by 1.5%. Okay, fair enough. We're going to say that one leans Harris. Why is this? There we go. Leans Harris. Okay, we did it. Leans Harris. We're going to say that one leans Harris. So that put Harris at 251, Trump at 236. I'm going to go to Georgia and North Carolina real quick. I'm going to glance at the polls, even though I don't think these are really in play anymore. Let's see. North Carolina. North Carolina right now is Trump up by 1.1. I'll go to Georgia real quick because I've got some thoughts on both Georgia and South Carolina that they kind of line up, and I'll explain it in just a second. Georgia, Trump is up by 2, up by 1.9. This was last poll was done today. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm putting both of these. I'll put them leans. Georgia and North Carolina. Honestly, I thought for the last couple of weeks since the storms hit, I've thought these states were off the board. I think they were honestly they were going to go hard Trump. Georgia, I thought was going to go Trump anyway. North Carolina, I thought was going to go Trump anyway. So it's not really a big surprise. But the reaction to the hurricanes on behalf of the government, all the problems that they had, all the things that were done, inaction or poor actions by the administration, things that Harris both said and did or didn't say or didn't do. I really do think that they took Georgia and North Carolina off the map. I think they're going to go hard Trump now. I don't see that happening, that any of these go for Harris. Now, that means that we end up here with Pennsylvania, the state that everybody thinks is where the election is going to lie. So, if we go to Pennsylvania, let's see. Pennsylvania, right now, Trump is up 0.08. I'm going to say it leans Trump. And if that's the case, that's the ballgame. This makes sense to me. I would not be at all shocked to see it go down like this. I think there's a scenario in which Pennsylvania becomes kind of useless, or is not the primary state that everybody has to win. But if the blue wall for the most part holds up here in Michigan, or Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, she's going to get Illinois. That's a very liberal state. If those hold, I think that's what it's probably going to look like. But there's something else. Let me go look at the polls for Michigan again. Let's see. Michigan right now, Harris is up by 1.5%. That the last poll was taken today. The average of 15 polls says that she's up by 1.5%. Now, I think that, like I said, with the poll bias that Democrats can sometimes pull, that's within the margin of error for that 3-point overestimation. So this could very well lean Michigan towards Trump. I think it's now. I've been thinking for a long time now that Wisconsin and Michigan are probably going to split. I think they're mostly liberal or mostly pretty solid blue, but a lot. And I'll go into this a little bit here with New Jersey when I talk about what potentially could happen here in a minute. Michigan's got a lot of rank and file union guys, and their rank and file union guys all supported Trump just recently. And Michigan, car industry, really big with that. I really do feel like that while the unions may support Harris, a lot of the voters might go for Trump. So I really do think it's a good possibility. I say it's a 50-50 chance that Wisconsin and Michigan split. Wisconsin goes to Harris and Michigan goes to Trump. Now, I could be wrong about that. Both those could remain that part of the blue wall, and that wouldn't shock me at all. But that's the possibility. Now, but let's say that Michigan stays with Kamala Harris. Well, let's just say that happens for a minute. We're still looking at, if things fall out the way the polls say they're going to fall out, we're still looking at Trump winning by a little bit. Winning by the margin of Pennsylvania. But something else you got to remember. There was a news article that came out just a couple of days ago where Kamala Harris had pulled, I want to say, $2 million of advertising money from North Carolina, indicating that she's giving up on the state. She knows that she's not going to win it. So, I mean, we'll probably just go ahead and make North Carolina likely. She knows she's not going to win it. So she's moving it across the border to Virginia. Why? Let's go look at the polls for Virginia. Virginia is usually a pretty solid blue state, but Harris right now is polling 8.7%, average of 4 polls. The last poll was done on October 26th. That's really interesting to me because you would think that if the Democrats were polling well in Virginia, they would have a lot of polls out there. This is an average of 4 polls, and the last one was done 5 days ago. That's pretty interesting to me. I'm thinking it's possible Trump flips Virginia. Possible. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm saying it's possible that he flips Virginia. If that happens, I don't think Pennsylvania is going to matter. I mean, let's give Pennsylvania to her. Yeah, if Trump can flip Virginia, Pennsylvania no longer matters. And it's good for Trump because he's probably going to win Pennsylvania anyway. So if he flips Virginia, that makes it. Now we're getting into, I don't want to call it landslide just yet, but this is winning by a couple of touchdowns. It's not a blowout, but it's a much bigger win than I think the Democrats want to deal with. Another thing you have to think about is New Jersey. Again, rank and file guys, people live in New Jersey. Right now, Harris is polling at 16. She's up 16 points. Again, this one, look, Trump's a New York guy. He's a New Jersey guy. He's from the area. I'm not saying he's going to take New York. I wonder what New York is polling at right now. Harris by 18.5. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to take New York. But New Jersey, I mean, she's up by 16. Just looking at the polls, you would say it's going to be solid for her. But if he manages to snipe off New Jersey, good God, you are looking. I mean, look, this isn't Reagan level landslide numbers, but I mean, that would not only be a huge personal kick to the balls for the Democrats, but that would be ridiculous. I don't think New Jersey's gone for Republicans since Reagan. Maybe Bush won. I don't know. I'd have to look to find out. But I don't think New Jersey has gone red since at least 88. I mean, that maybe the last time, maybe 84, when Reagan had that massive landslide win over Mondale. But so there's a possibility that he flips one of these. The reality is he's not flipping New Jersey rather. I don't see him flipping New Jersey. It's out there. It's a possibility. I know I made 4 years ago when we did the election stream. I know I made the bold prediction that Trump was going to flip New York. I didn't think he was actually going to do it. I was just throwing shit against the wall to see what stuck. I thought it was possible, but not likely. But this year, I really do think there's a good opportunity for him to flip one of these traditionally blue states. And I think the one that's right for the picking is right there. I think it's Virginia. I think if he steals that away, Pennsylvania becomes unimportant. And if he steals that one away and gets Michigan, I mean, that's big. Again, not Reagan-like. I don't think we're ever going to see a 49 to 1 state advantage for anybody ever again. But yeah, that's blowout territory right there. I mean, he's probably not going to win New Mexico or Colorado. Certainly not Colorado. Colorado's far too liberal. New Mexico. Harris is only up by 7, and they haven't put a poll out in 10 days. So I mean, it's possible. Just kind of glancing at some of these other states that may or may not be close. Actually, that's like a competitiveness. Let me switch to that real quick, so I can maybe get a better idea. Competitiveness loading. Let's see. National, it says Harris is up by 1.2 points. Last poll came out today. That's an average of 20 polls. It's not a lot. Nevada, Trump is up by 0.4. Wisconsin, only 6. Let's see. As we get into some of these other states, Michigan, Arizona are kind of split. Let's see. I'm looking for some of the closer ones. Well, we're getting to some of the ones that are pretty sure now. Like New Hampshire is probably going to go to Harris. She's up by 5 right now. Nebraska's 1st district. Trump's got it. Let's see. Minnesota, Harris, Ohio, pretty solid for Trump. It says right here he's up by 6.4. He's probably going to win it by 6 to 8 points. Let's see, Texas, Trump up 6.8. He's probably going to win it by 6 or 8 points. Florida's pretty solid Trump. New Mexico, it says Harris is up by 7. I don't see him flipping New Mexico, but I can see Harris winning this by like 2 points because Trump's been going to a lot of these states that he knows he's not going to win, hoping to siphon off a few of the popular votes because Trump really, really wants to, probably more fueled by ego than anything else. He really, really wants to pick off at least a few votes in New York and California so he can win the popular vote and the electoral vote because he doesn't want to have to deal with all these idiots that were like, oh, but so-and-so won the popular vote because the popular vote shit is nonsense. I thought I had a graphic about that. Let's see. Let me go to chat for just a minute. Oh, yeah, buy merch. And let's see. Did I have, you see, yeah, this one right here. In favor of the popular vote, this is according to Boston 25 over on the East Coast. States in favor of the popular, this was actually fairly recent, by the way. This is not 8 or 10 years old. This is something that came out in the last couple of months. If you're looking at it, I mean, obviously the people who favor the popular vote, heavily liberal areas. You see the West Coast on the left, all liberal. Colorado, New Mexico, pretty steady blue states. Illinois, steady blue. The New England area, New York, looks like Virginia right there, pretty steadily blue. Obviously, they want the popular vote because they just want to, see nothing but Democrats in office. Let me explain to you guys one more time why the Electoral College exists and why the popular vote will never be a thing. At least it shouldn't be a thing anyway. There was a video that I had watched that Simon Whistler did on YouTube. It's actually really good. You guys can go find. But the problem is I think it's something like 60% of the population of the United States lives in 5 areas of the country. Let me take this down for just a minute so I can talk to you guys. 60% of the between Seattle, LA, Dallas, Miami, New York, Chicago, 6 cities hold something like 60% of the population of the United States. So if those 6 cities all voted for Harris, ballgame. That's 60% of the population of the United States. Popular vote goes to Harris. We would never see another Republican president. Here's why we have the Electoral College, because the needs and the representation of the people in LA or New York should not outweigh the needs or the representation of the people in Ohio, in Wisconsin, in Iowa, in Idaho, in Montana, these states that are less populated, but still have a voting public. So the Electoral College makes sure that, as much as it can, make sure that the vote of a person in LA carries the same weight as the vote of a person in small town Iowa. That's one of the things Electoral College does. Now, there's more. Now, there's a lot more to it than that. I don't know that I can properly explain it all. How the Electoral College came to be and why they installed it many, many, many years back is also kind of a different explanation. I was watching a video on that recently as well. Like I said, Simon Whistler did a very good video as to why the Electoral College became, how it came to be, why it came to be, what it does. He did a really interesting video on it that I watched a couple of days ago that kind of explains it all. But yeah, that's why we have the Electoral College, because if not, then anybody, because where are my notes? I was saving this one for the election stream. Let me get my notes real quick. I've been scribbling stuff down on my notepad. Let's see. The population of LA as of the last census was 3.7 million. The population of Wyoming, Vermont, Arkansas, North Dakota, and South Dakota is 3.68 million. So basically, if whatever LA could all vote one way, and they would completely wash out the votes of 4 or 5 other states. That's why the Electoral College exists, because it needs to. That's how it has to happen. Let's see. Go back to the chat a little bit. He said Michigan's already having issues too. Yeah, I'm really, really bothered, really, really worried about this idea that it's going to take days, weeks to count the votes in Pennsylvania. I don't understand that shit at all. I don't understand it. Let's see, if you look at New York by county, it's absolutely ridiculous that New York is blue. 95% of all the counties are red. Same thing in California. If you go back and look, especially at the 2016 election, the county by county breakdown of California, if you look like north of San Francisco, where there's a lot of like smaller towns, ranches, rural stuff, all Trump, all red. You want to know the problem? That entire Northern California section from the North Bay of San Francisco up is, again, less population than LA. LA, as goes LA, does go the state of California. Now, LA, San Francisco, if we're just talking about California in particular, LA, San Francisco, San Diego are really the three main population centers in California. San Francisco, LA, very liberal. San Diego is the one place that's kind of purple. I mean, they regularly elect Republican mayors. California conservatives are a little bit different than regular conservatives. They're usually fiscally conservative, but they're socially very liberal. They're pro-gay marriage, pro-abortion, things like that. I think mostly they don't care. They just say that kind of stuff because they want to get elected. But that's generally how that goes. Let's see. Michigan already having issues. Yeah, Michigan is currently trying to fix their voting machines. Well, they got a couple of days. He says, I honestly think he lost the black vote in New York. I don't think so. Well, I mean, New York specifically, maybe. I mean, New York's it's just, all the neighborhoods in New York. This is why we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Because the number of registered Republicans actually outnumbers. I may be talking out of my ass here. Somebody feel free to fact check me. I'm fine with it if I'm wrong. But I think the number of registered Republicans in AOC's district outnumbers the number of registered Democrats. The Republicans are still going to vote. I mean, if they all just went out there and voted, she would be gone. It says that's the problem, though. NYC speaks for this entire state. Well, I mean, yeah, that's part of the. I mean, that's the way it goes. That's why we have the Electoral College and not the national popular vote. States are kind of straight democracies. You vote for governor, it's whoever gets the most vote wins. You vote for mayor, whoever gets the most vote wins. When you get to the federal level, it's a constitutional republic. It's not a democracy. It's very different. They knew that they had to have kind of that different setup, or it was always going to be a little off. What's going on, man? Good to see you, brother. A little bit different content tonight. I know, Jeremy was going to. I just want to give the guys a night off. I'm sure these guys would have come in to have a discussion, but I thought it'd be nice just to have one-on-one, just me and you guys. Let's see. Northern DC says it's New York, it's Albany, Syracuse, and the five. I mean, Albany's state capital makes sense. Syracuse, big college, things like that. New York City, obviously huge. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if I could find the. Let me find the California breakdown. California county voting map. That's not the map I want. It's only got only shows part of the state. There was one that I saw a year or so ago, maybe more, that was kind of mind-boggling. I'm seeing a lot of stuff about statewide ballot initiatives and stuff. Let's see. 2020. Let's go 2016. See if I can stumble across the one that I found. Let's see. I'm going to go with this one. I don't necessarily like the way it's going to fill the screen because it's kind of small, but I'm going to go with this one because I want you guys to know what I'm talking about. Are you going to save this or what? Save image. Save image. Cancel. Save. Yeah, save image. I guess I'll do it like that. Save that. See if it's not going to. Will it show up on here? Sorry, I'm kind of trying to do some producing as I go. Normally I'll have this stuff. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, I saved it just fine. Okay, so this was the 2016 county by county for the presidential election. The blue ones obviously are counties that went for Clinton. The red ones are obviously counties that went for Trump. If you were to look at this map, you would see, I mean, you're looking at it and you're seeing that you would just look at it and say, oh, it seems like it's kind of close. No. I think she won by, I forget the exact number. I want to say it was something like 7 or 8 million votes in the state. But I mean, if you look at it, you look at the, Southern California, where that really dark blue county is down there. That's LA, Long Beach, that area. That's where LA and stuff is. San Diego's farther south, closer to the border with Mexico. Then you go up to the Bay Area. I can't really point it out because you guys see it. But San Francisco, if you guys know anything about where San Francisco is, look at the Bay Area, deep blue. But when you get like some of these other countries, like counties up north, some of the stuff farther inland along the Nevada border, it's all a lot of farmers. It's all a lot of not industry. There's a lot of farming, cattle, things like that. That's where I know farther inland. I think that one red county that kind of pokes into the blue area by the Bay Area. I think that's where Gilroy is, as I recall. Maybe it's the county just above it. Gilroy is where they grow a lot of artichokes, where they grow a lot of garlic. The Gilroy Garlic Festival. That's the shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival is actually one of the things that helped me find Drew so many years ago. But I mean, if you just looked at that map, you would think that state was probably close. It wasn't. She won that state by 9 million votes. 3 million of them in LA. 3.7 million people in LA. That outnumbers the population of 5 different states according to the last census. That's why we have the Electoral College, because we don't want people fucking it up. But back to potential things that could happen for the Electoral College. I mean, what could happen? Let me reset this section really quick. We'll reset the map so I can redo some things. Now, let's say, come on, reset the map. Okay, there we go. So let's say, I still think that, oh, God damn it, what did I just click on? Nope, not what I wanted. Consensus map, that's what I wanted. Okay. Now let's say, I still think North Carolina and Georgia are pretty solid for Trump. I don't think they're going anywhere. Let's say she sneaks out Nevada and Arizona. Let's say the blue wall holds. That means it does come down to Pennsylvania. She wins Pennsylvania. Here's a problem with that. She's down in the polls in Nevada and Arizona. That takes her down to 270. I still think she splits this. She's actually down in the polls in Pennsylvania. So you can take all 3 of these off the board as likely not ones that she's going to win. I'm not saying she's not going to, but likely she's not going to win them. That means it's a tie. And polling-wise, these are all leading Trump. And that's the ballgame, 287. That's if he doesn't flip Virginia, which I think is a possibility. That's also another thing you guys got to remember is these districts. That district in Nebraska. There's a district up here in Maine. Those districts in a really, really tight race, those are very, very important. So her being able to sneak out this, like if this were to go Trump, that means the whole state, and that actually changes a lot of math because if one person were to take all 5 votes from Nevada, that could change a lot of the math. But let's reset the map. But again, I don't think it's going to go down like that. I really think that North Carolina and Georgia are solid for Trump. He's polling ahead in Nevada. I think he's probably going to win that state. Arizona is the one that I worry about. If there's going to be, look, there was obviously some malfeasance there last time. There's some weird stuff. I don't know how you explain that or how you make sense out of all that nonsense. But yeah, that could happen. But I still do think that Trump probably takes Arizona. And that's going to put him at 268. And at this point, he just needs one more state. I do still think Wisconsin and Minnesota are going to split. I think Wisconsin and Michigan are going to split. So if those split, that's the ball game, and he's pulling ahead in Pennsylvania. So this is kind of where I think it's going to land. I mean, I don't quite know what I mean, like I said, he's polling ahead in Arizona. Who the hell knows what's going to happen in that state? The one I'm not really sure of is Wisconsin and Michigan. I feel like those are going to split. I feel like Michigan's going to lean Trump real. I think it's going to be a pretty slim margin. I'm thinking probably a point, maybe a point and a half at most. But I'm thinking a point is probably where it's going to be. That might be one of the ones that kind of goes down to the wire. Pennsylvania, though, like I've already talked about Arizona. Pennsylvania, here's what really gets me. I don't understand why the people in Pennsylvania are talking about how they're not going to know the results of the election the night of. They're not going to start counting absentee ballots and mail-in stuff until the next day or some nonsense. They're not going to. I don't understand this because here's the deal. You look at a state like New York. New York has got something like, I want to say 3 times the population of Pennsylvania. They're going to have all their votes counted in one night. Pennsylvania can't get it done. The only logical reason that you can't get all the votes counted in one night in Pennsylvania is because you're trying some shit. That's the only logical reason. Let's see. In NYC, Long Island is even red. Yeah, Long Island, I think is like, because I know San Diego and like Orange County are like the Republican strongholds in Southern California. Long Island, I think, has always been probably more conservative because like Long Island, like New Jersey, is where a lot of the hardworking guys that work on the docks and work the hard jobs for long hours, they live on Long Island. They don't live in Manhattan. Manhattan is where the fucking elite snobby fucking people live, down on like Fifth Avenue or some shit like that. So yeah, I can understand that Long Island is probably a bit more conservative. Let's see. He says, bingo. What's scary is that people are more discouraged than ever to vote. You know what though? You've got to make yourself get out and vote. I was actually kind of mad at myself the other day. I had a really short day at work Tuesday, and I was like, I should really go ahead and go vote early. I'm one of those guys that usually is really hardcore, go day of and vote, because technically speaking, that's how the Constitution words it. You're supposed to go day of, but to me, I was just like, I should just go do it now and get it done, because there's not a whole lot that's going to happen between now and the election that's going to change my mind at this point. So part of me is just like, just go with it. Just go ahead and vote, get it over with. Let's see. You got to bring up New York in 2020. LOL, it's even worse. I'll look at New York in 2020. You look it up real quick. As a matter of fact, I'll go look up at not that one. Let's see. Can I? You'll look it up at 270 House, go under states. Let's see. Voting history and trends by state. We would go to New York. Let's go to New York. Let's see. Is this what I want to look at? I'm not entirely sure. I was actually, if you want a county by county thing, I'll have to look up a different thing. Let me go look that up. Let's see. New York county voting map 20. Actually, I want 2020. Let me pull that up. Let's see. Show who voted for president. Yeah, I mean, if this one's accurate, yeah. I'll pull this one up so I can show you guys too. I didn't look to see if it loaded up right. I'll find out here in a minute. California, New York. There we go. Yeah, so here's what Derek's talking about is there's New York 2020, the county by county map. I mean, what you're looking at is, that bottom little part right there. That's where New York City is, and that kind of runs the state. Syracuse, as I recall, is somewhere towards the center. I do not know my geography of New York very well. I apologize, but I mean, if you're just looking at that, you're saying, hey, if you're just looking at it, you're saying that probably went Trump. No, it did not. So that's what. Look, I read somewhere a while back that if you go back to when Obama ran for re-election, that there are 3,000 something counties in the U.S., He won 28% of them. Let me see if I can find that map. County voting map 2020, and that because that was 2020. Why not? County voting map 20 presidential election. Yeah, this is an interesting one to look at. This kind of illustrates my point. Oops, wrong thing. Again, forgive me. I'm doing a little bit of I'm doing all this stuff kind of on the fly. It did not save that picture for some reason. Let me try to get another version of it. I don't know that I like that one either. I don't like the way it reads. I want something that's got some numbers on it. That one doesn't have numbers on it, but it kind of illustrates my point. It's kind of the same as the other one I was going to pull up. And this one I think I should get. Yeah, okay. So I put this map up here. Okay, so county by county, this is what the individual counties across the United States look like. And I don't, yeah, you guys can't see my cursor, but I mean, if you look down here like LA, we all roughly know where LA's at. We all see where Dallas is at. That little blue speck surrounded by all the red right there, that's Dallas. Miami, we all kind of roughly know where Miami is. New York up there, we see where New York is. Chicago, Seattle, heavily blue areas. But if you look at the map as a whole, I mean, there were some states where Biden won one county. But again, that one county you see right there in Nebraska, that's that one district that is like, it's the one big city they have. Excuse me, the one big city they have. And that's the one county he wins, and that was good enough for one electoral vote. But I mean, you look up here at like Montana, one county. North Dakota, 2 counties. South Dakota, 4 counties. I mean, like if you look at all these super liberal states, it's like, again, you can see New York right there. It looks pretty solid red to me. You go up in the Northeast, you look at Vermont, Trump won 1 county, and of course, Biden won the rest. But I mean, it's kind of insane if you think about it. If we just went by number of counties, a Democrat would never win again. So why isn't somebody out there saying, "Oh, we should just go by county votes, and whoever gets the most counties wins the election"? Because that makes perfect sense, right? I could make a case for that. But yeah, he said interesting. Blue on top left is bordering Vermont, super liberal. Yeah, he won. If you go look at that map again, he won 1 county in Vermont in 2020. 1 county. It probably wasn't even like a heavily populated county. But yeah, I mean, seriously, what the fuck? I mean, yeah, it is, Derek. It's enraging. If just looking at it, I can see why you'd be enraged. But again, this is why we have the Electoral College, because I mean, just looking at this, I mean, you would think, I mean, if we just went county by county, then all those other counties would control what LA gets to deal with. And that wouldn't be fair either, would it? Of course it wouldn't. A lot of people would say it's not fair, and they would have an argument to that. So yeah, I mean, that's why we have the Electoral College. It's so that we can balance out the weight of these votes evenly, so that everybody's vote matters in equal measure. That's why it's there. I know Cora doesn't like it. Cora's told me a bunch of times that she prefer she would prefer the straight up and down popular vote, but there's a reason why that doesn't work. This isn't a popularity contest. And to top it all off, they keep saying, "Oh, well, it's happened too much. It happened to Bush in 2020. It happened with Trump, in 2016." I'm like, it's only happened 4 times over the course of all presidential elections. You're just mad because it's happened twice recently and your guy lost. That's really what it all comes down to. And again, more proof of that is this graphic right here. In favor of the popular vote, all the liberal states, they want it. The rest of the country is like, no. We understand why the Electoral College exists, because we want our votes to matter as much as the votes of the people in these states outlined in red right there. Those states outlined in red, they want to be able to run it for the rest of the country. That's not how this shit's supposed to work. Yeah, it is obnoxious. It's an obnoxious argument to make, to say stupid shit like, popular vote, whatever. It's not gonna, whatever. It's never gonna happen. Honestly, if they ever went to a popular vote, I wouldn't vote. I mean, there would be no way. There would be no way that would be fair. And what would eventually happen is you would have somebody, you would have one of these stupid progressive liberals get elected. They would go in there. They would camp out in the White House for 30 years. It would just be a goddamn disaster. They would just be terrible. They would ruin everything. They were the ones that would actually like jail other people. They're trying to do it now, but that's where you get like a evil monarchy. That's where you get a dictator. That's how that shit starts. So yeah, that's why we have an electoral college, because the system keeps all the assholes in check. I mean, because for how many decades now have we had like Republican president, Democrat president, the Republican president, Democrat president, Republican president, Democrat president? That kind of balance is what keeps the scales from tilting too far in one direction or the other. And, and I've said it a bunch of times. I used to say it on Drew's show a lot. Democrats and Republicans need one another because that balances what makes America awesome. That balances what makes America a better country than every other country. When you tilt that balance too much one direction, that's when things can go sideways. Even if it is the direction you think it should tilt, you're going to see a lot of things change in ways that you don't want them to change, or they're going to change in ways that do not help you at all, that actually hurt you, that limit your freedoms. And it's terrible. Yeah, Trudeau. It's like, seriously. And you know what's funny is nobody votes for Trudeau. They vote for the party, and the party wins the election, and the party picks Trudeau. So the people of Canada, and if you want the details, go talk to Alex the Garbage Man. Go ask them. Go talk to Alex and Nick, because I have a rudimentary knowledge of how things work in Canada. And if I'm talking out of my ass, I apologize to both my friends up north. I don't mean to get it wrong, but what happens is they have multiple parties, 4, 5, 6 big parties. And if one of them doesn't get enough of the vote to pick their guy, they will consolidate into these groups to create a big enough group that they pool their votes together to win the election. And then they pick together who is going to be the Prime Minister of Canada, and they keep picking Trudeau. So, but look what you're getting up there. I've got a couple of friends in Canada other than, Alex and Nick, believe it or not. Sean Rockenboxes was the guy that was on YouTube for a long time. I think he's kind of fallen off YouTube, but he lives up there. And the couple of times over the years I've talked to him about it, he's like, dude, he's like, you got to wait months to get in to see a doctor. You got to wait. He's like, even then, it's like bare minimum treatment. He was like, heaven forbid you need that, you find out you have cancer and you have to, schedule chemotherapy or something like that. He's like, by the time you actually get a needle in your arm for the chemotherapy, he's like, you're almost dead. So yeah. Again, don't quote me on any of the shit about the Canadian elections. I've had, like, it's a very baseline explanation is how it works. Definitely go to Alex and Nick over and Alex and the Garbage Man. They have way better handle on that shit because they actually live in Canada than me. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. They don't vote for Trudeau. They vote for the party, and the party picks the Prime Minister. So technically speaking, the party can pick someone else. But old Fidel Trudeau has got himself wormed into so many people's asses up there that they just keep picking him. And that's the way it goes up in Canada. But yeah. Boy, I haven't talked this much on my own on a stream in a long time. Ooh, throat's getting a little hoarse. Let's see. Dove that one. But yeah, I don't know. Go down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think the Electoral College is going to end up looking like. I have a feeling that Trump wins Pennsylvania. Trump wins all these. I think it's going to end up looking like this. He wins Michigan. She wins Wisconsin. I think she's already pretty solid in Minnesota. I think I got rid of the polls already. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where it's all going to go. Just glancing at some other news on 270 to win, which is a good website, by the way. You guys can actually go to 270towin.com, and you can. This is an interactive map that I've been using. You can do all kinds of shit on this map, and it's actually pretty fun. There is a actually, let me run one of these real quick. Let's see, president. Some of these are hysterical the way they play out. to try to like they you can actually set it up to where it actually does the oh, it's up here, isn't it? This one. See, now my computer wants to act stupid. But let's see. Electoral votes, poll closing times. No, that's not it either. President, was it over here? I want to try to run a couple of these simulations to see if it comes up with like some ridiculous shit. Election simulator. Here we go. Yeah, let's okay. So we're gonna run a couple of these simulations just to see what happens. Let's see. A simulation order, poll closing time. So it's going to start from the East Coast and move towards the West. Now let's see. Let's start the simulation and see what happens. Oops, start simulation right there. Let's see. Okay. Nothing too crazy that I've seen so far. Arizona might be wrong. Okay, so this one's got Trump winning 286 to 252. Looking at these, I mean, Arizona and Nevada splitting. I mean, that's possible. Wisconsin and well, I mean, that says that Wisconsin and Michigan split. They split opposite the way I thought they were getting. I think they're going to split, but they do split. That one's not too crazy. I mean, I still think Trump can take Virginia, but yeah, that's not too insane. That one wasn't too crazy. Let's run another simulation, see what it says. Yeah, I've seen some of these simulations are just ridiculous. Let's see, Wyoming, Trump, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, California. That one's got Harris winning. She takes Nevada. He takes Arizona. She takes the blue wall holds. She takes Georgia and North Carolina, which, I don't think is going to happen. Takes Virginia and takes Virginia, takes Pennsylvania. I mean, that makes sense. That could happen. I don't think she's going to take Virginia and Pennsylvania. But yeah, that's possible. And Alaska and Hawaii, yeah, they're always going to go like that. Let's run another simulation and see what happens. I'm looking for one of these ones that's ridiculously stupid. Let's see, Colorado, New Mexico, falls. Everything's fallen. I don't think Trump takes both Wisconsin and Michigan. Here he takes Pennsylvania. They split North Carolina and Georgia. That's interesting. I mean, that could possibly happen. I don't think it will. Let's see. Everything. I mean, honestly, everything on here looks possible. I don't think she's going to win Nevada, but I mean, this makes a little bit of sense. It's one way that Trump can win. Let's run another one. I'm hoping to get one of these ones that's ridiculous. It's just so incredibly stupid. I don't know. This one doesn't look too wild either. Trump wins Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, Arizona. She wins Pennsylvania, but he takes both Wisconsin and Michigan, which I don't think is going to happen. She takes Minnesota. Yeah, none of this stuff is too crazy. I'm waiting for like one of these ones over here to turn red. Like that would be wild. They're just like, oh yeah, Trump's totally going to win DC. But let's run another one. Like I said, I really want to get one of these really stupid outcomes just so we can make fun of it. Yeah, she takes a lot up here, sweeps these. Yeah, this one's got her winning a close one. This one it's possible. I mean, West Coast, all her. New England states, all her. She takes Pennsylvania in this one. Yeah, I mean, in this one kind of goes where she takes pretty much like 5 of the 6 swing states that she really desperately needs. But I mean, that up there, you can see it right there. That just makes it a close victory. And then she gets Pennsylvania, the one that everything is kind of resting on. I really want one of these stupid ones that I can make fun of. I think maybe they're getting enough polling data now that their simulations are actually coming out kind of fair and not so stupid. Let's see this one. I don't see Trump winning Maine. I don't think that's going to happen. I see that actually flipping where Trump gets the one electoral vote and the rest of Maine goes to Harris. But again, I don't think he's going to take Wisconsin and Michigan. I mean, it's possible. He takes Pennsylvania. He takes Nevada and Arizona. She pretty much holds the rest of the traditional blue states. That's possible. I'll take a couple more shots to get one of those really ridiculous, stupid ones. Let's see. I was going to say, why is like Alaska? Yeah, this one, West Coast, yeah. Colorado, New Mexico, yeah. She pretty much holds the blue wall. And she takes North Carolina in this one and Pennsylvania. That would certainly do it. That's one path for Okay, one more, and then I'll probably end the stream. But let's see. Like I said, I'm really hoping for one that's kind of shocking. But I think they've got so much polling data now that they're actually running some good simulations. Let's see. I feel like this. I feel like it goes the other way, but I feel like that's possible. Let's see. He takes Arizona, but loses Nevada. Could happen. Let's see. He gets Pennsylvania. He didn't take any of the traditionally blue ones. I mean, that's possible. Arkansas, Republican. Hawaii goes to the Democrat. That makes sense. That's pretty normal. Maine makes sense. Nebraska makes sense with their split electoral votes. This one's totally doable. I mean, again, I don't know why it keeps giving Wisconsin to Trump and Michigan to Harris. I feel like it goes the other way. But she's continuously winning Illinois, which makes sense because everybody in Chicago is going to vote for her. I mean, this is totally doable. But it's I don't know. It's definitely going to be an interesting time. Let's see. Casey's back. He says, "My opinion is Frank sucks." Well, if anybody should have their vote erased from history, it should be Casey's. Casey says, "How do I still have a wrench?" Because the bottom line is nobody comes into my chat to start shit anymore. So who cares who has a wrench anymore? I could be like, God, who was it? Just give it. Oh yeah, Bullfrog. We just give everybody a wrench. I'll give everybody a wrench. He's like, do you think election results will end the day of, or is it going to take days? It's a state by state thing. They've already said that Pennsylvania might take several days to count the votes. I think it's bullshit. I think. What were you guys talking about? Who was it mentioned earlier that there was another state that had said that it might take a while to count votes? No, you're talking about Michigan. Michigan already having issues too. Yeah, there was another state that said that they might not have votes counted night of, but I'm not sure. I don't think it was one of the swing states. I think it was one of the states that kind of just wants to do diligence. They just want to make sure that all their ducks are in a row so that they don't end up in the crosshairs of one or both of the campaigns. Let's see. Casey says Oklahoma's definitely a red state. Yeah, I can't imagine Oklahoma turning. I mean, I think maybe Oklahoma may have gone for Obama once. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't remember. But Oklahoma's pretty solid red. I mean, I don't know. Tuesday is going to be a fun time. It's going to be a good time. I'll be live Tuesday, probably about the normal time, 8:15. I'll set up as much as I can over the weekend. I've got literally, where's my binder? It's underneath all my games right now, but I have got a binder full of articles that I've printed up. I'm going to print up more over the weekend. I'll spend most of the day Saturday printing up more articles, more talking points, reading through them again, highlighting stuff. So I can be ready. I'm hoping Cora will be here. It wouldn't be a very cool time to do a political thing without Cora. Jeremy's going to be here. He's going to be dressed in full President Loki garb. So you'll be able to get Jeremy's thoughts on all this crazy shit as well. A couple other people, maybe. I may even try to find, I may even put the link in the chat and kind of let people come in for like 5 minutes or so to give thoughts. So that might be a fun way to try to make it a bit more interactive. Maybe, because, Casey being in Oklahoma, some people definitely being around the country. Maybe you guys pop in for like 5 minutes and say, hey, I was just at the polling place and this is what I saw. Here's my quick thoughts, whatever. I might do something like that. But I'm really excited for what Tuesday brings. It's going to be an interesting time, to say the least. It's going to be something. But I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap the stream up there. I just want to come on for a little bit and hang out, do something a little bit different, give my thoughts about the Yankees sucking, the Yankee fans sucking even worse. But thanks to all you guys for coming and hanging out. I very much appreciate it. Again, Tuesday. Wow, it started at the end of my thing, but I may even do a little bit of streaming over the weekend. But definitely come back here Tuesday. It's going to be a fun time. See you guys later. Till then, adios. Oh, now Nick pops in. Now he pops in. Late to the party as always, Dr. Nick. Go watch Dr. Nick. Go watch them. Ask them to explain the whole Canadian election thing to you. I got no idea what's going on. Go watch Alex and the Garbage Man. Get you guys later.